Hello, the nights are drawing in and autumn is well underway, and it's time to start getting the house ready for autumn and the Halloween celebrations. You can see I've got my little friend here lit up already. And what I'm going to show you in this short video is how to make an arrangement inside a pumpkin or another gourd which you might have, using lots of lovely autumnal colours. And I've used here flowers from our allotment. So we've got lots of dahlias, we've got sunflowers, and we've even got some little flowers off our Jerusalem artichokes, which look very much like sunflowers. And this is going to bring lots of joy and colour to our home over the next few days. And I'm going to show you how to make this in a way that you can refresh the flowers and keep doing it over and over again over the next few weeks. So I'm going to put that to one side just here, and here's one I prepared earlier. So with this pumpkin, I have taken the seeds out of the centre and the flesh, and I've tidied it up a little bit, cut quite a neat hole, and the way I've done that is to take the rim of a pint glass here and just put that on the top. I used a knife, a really sharp knife, to go around the edge to give me a line to cut. Took the glass away and cut that out. Now, be really, really careful when you are doing anything with a pumpkin and a knife, because it's very easy to slip and cut yourself. So just pay attention to what you're doing. Make sure you use a really sharp knife and take your time, concentrate, and you'll soon have it done. This took me no more than about 10 minutes to do and get all sorted out. So I've got a lovely pumpkin which I could just fill up with water, but actually that would probably create lots of bacteria and it wouldn't be that nice for the plants and stems to go into. So instead I'm going to pop the glass I used to make the hole inside, and of course that fits absolutely perfectly in there. And I can now fill that up with some water. Now, ideally you would want to refresh the water in this arrangement a couple of times, every other day at least. And you can do that by lifting the glass out, but at very least just make sure you top it up. So we're ready to go. We're ready to start putting some flowers in there. If you wanted a bit of help, you could put a little piece of chicken wire over here and that would support some of the plants. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little bit of this rosemary, which smells absolutely gorgeous. It's very perfumed in here at the moment. And I'm going to just trim that off, get it to the right kind of length. I'm going to trim that off and put a few bits of this in. When you're arranging flowers, try not to have any of the green under the surface of the water, because it will go rotten and it will make the water a bit sour. I'm going to put a few more bits of this in. We're very lucky on our allotment because we have a lot of rosemary, and it must be a very old variety because it's incredibly vigorous. This is the nicest job to do, not if you don't like the smell of rosemary, but I do. And plenty of this to go in, and anything we have left we can use in the kitchen. So I'm going to put about 5 pieces of this in, I think, and that will be my support mechanism to get going with. Again, really, really gorgeous fragrance. I've got quite a lot of that left there, which I can do something else with. So there we are, the rosemary's in, and now I'm going to use some heleniums. Now, heleniums are a great autumn flower. Again, I've cut these back a little bit, but just make sure any leaves that might be below the waterline, you take those off. And I'm going to cut it again. I'm going to just pop a little bit of that in there. Now, I think that could be a little tiny bit shorter. I'm going to put that in facing the front. I've not got lots of this. I suppose that is the key thing to say, is use what you've got. You know, don't be too worried about having lots of bought flowers. If you've got things in the garden, these pumpkin arrangements don't need an awful lot of flowers. So just use what you've got, which is what I'm doing here. And you can keep filling it up with different plants and flowers. There's no, never any real rules to this sort of thing. And, you know, I'm no florist, so I'm just doing what I think works best. So we've got a little background there. Now I've got a pot here of some of my favourite coloured dahlias. Now I love these colours. The oranges and the deep reds are my favourite. I love them in dahlias and I love them in tulips. So I'm going to start with the biggest, and this is a dahlia called Blackjack. Really beautiful dahlia. Got lovely dark foliage, and I'm going to just snip that off to a good length. I'm going to take any leaves it's got off actually, because there's plenty of foliage there coming from the rosemary. I don't have lots. You will find as well, if you're a gardener, that you will have flowers with much shorter stems as autumn progresses, and that's because the days are shorter, things aren't growing quite as vigorously as they were before. So that's fine. Again, these arrangements will work perfectly well in quite a short vase. So there we are. And of course, if you don't want to do it in a pumpkin and you're not into that, you can do these sort of arrangements just as easily in any kind of vessel. So as I'm going along, I'm just making sure that I'm getting an even shape. If you don't think that's what you're getting, just take them back out, recut them, and you'll get there in the end. Now this is another favourite dahlia, bit of a softer colour. This one is called Nicholas. So he is what you call a water lily dahlia, so he's got that nice soft shape. Just keep on snipping, and I'm going to put the Nicholases in between the Blackjacks, just to keep some regularity in the arrangement. And to pop him in there. Now they're all supporting each other really nicely, these flowers, which is great. So not really any need for the chicken wire, or you can use a what florists call a frog, which is a little spiky thing that you put in the bottom of the vase. Just helps to hold the stems in position. So there we are. There's 3 Nicholas in there. And then I have to show you this one. There's one more there I can use in a minute. This is a dahlia called Happy Halloween. So this is absolutely perfect. And I'm going to make that centre stage, because I've just got one of those. The bees absolutely love this Happy Halloween because it's got a little bit of a centre to it where they can go and get their pollen and nectar from. So that's really lovely. One more Nicholas. I'm going to pop him in somewhere because it'd be a shame to waste him. He's got a little snail friend in there, which of course anyone who grows dahlias will know that they are unfortunately best friends, snails and dahlias, not the best friend of the gardener. So it's coming together, and I'm going to put a few of these in. These are brown sugar. So this has got this gorgeous sort of sombre orange colour. It's what you call a ball dahlia. And I think we will find room for a few of those. It's getting harder to find the slots now as the vase fills up. Now try and pick your dahlias so that they're not too open, because that will give you a good few days colour from them. They last, I guess, 4 to 5 days in a vase looking really good, and they'll last a little bit longer than that as they go over, but they're not very long lasting flowers. As I say, probably in 4 to 5 days I'll refresh all these. So it's coming together quite nicely. I'm quite pleased with how it's looking, but I want to add some real showstoppers. So I've got a couple of other dahlias. This one is a fabulous one. This one's called Chimborazo. It's a collarette dahlia, so it's got dark petals on the outside and the collar is a lovely lemon colour. And I'm going to dot these in, keep snipping them, and I don't really need all of these leaves, so the leaves can come off because they will just make the vase congested. So I'm going to put those in. Similarly, I'm going to try and space them out through the vase. Take all of this off. There's room for some here at the back. I'll rotate it round when I'm done, show you exactly how it's all looking. And I think I've got room for one more round here. Take this leaf off. Pop that in here. Now this has got a bit of a droopy stem, this one, so I'm just going to prop that up, I think. Never let anything go to waste. I'm going to prop that up with a little bit of rosemary there so that it doesn't sag. And I think that's already looking pretty good. pretty nice. I hope you can see it quite well from the front. But I've got a few more to put in just to give a little pop of a slightly more cerisi magenta-y colour, and this one is called Hadrian's Midnight. I love this, great single dahlia, and of course being single it's very good for the bees. They love them, so I'm just going to pop a couple of those in here. I find that these magenta-y dark colours really sing well off anything orange. I'm going to make sure my side of the arrangement looks good as well, because when I twizzle it around I don't want you to be disappointed. And this one's got a bit of a short stem, so this will work really well at the front. Don't worry if you've got short stems, they'll be fine. You can always find somewhere to tuck them in. Just keep the water level nice and high. This one's lost a petal or two. I'm still not going to waste it. Spent a lot of time growing these lovely dahlias. I'm going to tuck it in right here at the back. And that looks great. I think it's a little bit long. I'll take a bit more off the stem. And I think that may be our last flower for this vase. So that's the last flower, but I really want to get that lovely sort of sultry autumnal look to it. So I'm just going to add as a finishing touch some little bits of grass. Now this is pennisetum or fountain grass, and you can afford for these to not stick with the outline of everything else, to stick out a little bit. Maybe that's a bit too far. Just protruding, like little wisps of smoke, I guess I would call these, coming out of the arrangement. I'm going to cut them all to a very similar length. You could do this in advance if you were organised. Just make sure that they're all the same. Now, this is why you cut the foliage off, because it's getting quite full in there and more difficult to get the stems through, so just have a little bit of patience to do that. Here we go, one more. They've got that lovely texture, haven't they? And when the light goes through, if you've got a nice place to put this in your house, when the light filters through the grass, gives a really beautiful effect. Grass is of course so popular at the moment and very easy to get. You could use dried grasses. These are actually fresh ones. So these won't mind being in the water, but if you can get hold of dried grasses, you can use those too. And I've just got one more of these. I'm not being too lavish with them. And I'll probably put that a little bit more towards the front. Oh, really just getting through there. And there we are. You can arrange those and fiddle around with those until you're happy with where they are. But there we are. I think we have it. This is my nearly Halloween pumpkin arrangement, and hopefully a really lovely friend for this one. Let me put them together. I'll put this one here just in front, and here is my sultry Halloween arrangement in a pumpkin. Hope you've enjoyed watching the video. There'll be instructions on how to do it and a list of the flowers that I've used under the YouTube video, so have a go at this yourself. Now is the time to do it. Pumpkins are really cheap and cheerful to buy in the shops, so have a go, and I'd love to see what creations you come up with. You can follow me at The Frustrated Gardener on Instagram and on frustratedgardener.com. Thanks very much for watching.